80 years of working together for peace, development, and human rights. This is the slogan of the anniversary UN General Assembly, which kicked off this week in New York. Delegations from 193 countries are participating in this year's session, meaning every single member of the organization is present. In recent years, the UN has been accused far too often of being powerless and overly bureaucratic. And now the world is waiting to see whether long-awaited reforms will finally happen, or if the organization will lose its influence for good. The UN General Assembly is the world's largest diplomatic forum, but its resolutions are only advisory. Countries can applaud, vote in favor, sign bold statements, and yet not follow through on them. As a result, many decisions remain just words on paper. But the world is changing rapidly. Wars, terrorism, and climate disasters demand swift action, not endless declarations. Many have said, both behind the scenes and openly from the podium, that after 80 years, it's long overdue to change the rules. By the way, the election of Annalena Baerbock, former German foreign minister, as president of the Assembly already seemed like a symbol of these changes. A politician with clear convictions and a strong stance. A staunch critic of the Kremlin's aggressive policies, who won't make concessions to Putin. Her presidency, in particular, could signal a move away from the usual politics of compromise. Moreover, from Baerbock's opening speech, it became clear that she is aiming for reforms that will affect absolutely every area.
Out of all 80 representatives of the General Assembly, I am only the 5th woman, not to mention the Secretary General. After all, in 80 years, we've never had a woman serve as Secretary General. It's not easy. It's not just a matter of representation. It's something that demands change. It's a matter of trust that we practice what we preach.
By the way, U.S. President Donald Trump began his speech by criticizing the UN. He actually questioned the very purpose of the organization, saying that it has enormous potential but fails to live up to it. As if on cue, right before the switch, there were 3 technical mishaps in a row. The escalator that Trump and his wife were taking up to the Assembly Hall stopped, then the teleprompter went out, and the sound started acting up.
All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that stopped right in the middle on the way up. If the First Lady wasn't in good shape, she would have fallen, but she's in shape. We're both in shape. We were both standing. And then there was the teleprompter that didn't work. That's what I got from the United Nations. A bad escalator and a bad teleprompter. Thank you very much.
Trump saved a fair share of criticism for his European allies, mainly for opening their borders to migrants, and also for the fact that NATO countries are still buying oil and gas from Russia, essentially financing Putin's war machine. The harshest words from the head of the White House were directed at Moscow. He emphasized several times that it is the Kremlin that bears the main responsibility for the bloodshed. Absolutely everyone noted this sharp change in rhetoric. Russia is no longer a negotiating partner, but a warmonger, an aggressor, and a paper tiger.
Of the 7 wars I stopped, I thought this one would be the easiest, thanks to my relationship with Putin. I thought this would be the easiest task, but in war, you never know what will happen. There are always a lot of surprises, both good and bad. Russia thought it would win the war in 3 days, but it's already been going on for more than 3 years. And this doesn't make Russia look good, it makes it look bad.
By the way, during his meeting with Volodymyr Zelensky, Trump supported the idea of shooting down Russian planes and drones over NATO territory. And later he wrote on social media that Kyiv, with the support of the European Union and NATO, could reclaim all its territories occupied by Russia. However, Putin's ambitions have already gone beyond Ukraine. Russian drones and fighter jets are flying over Europe, and the Kremlin's hybrid operations are taking place in various countries. Volodymyr Zelensky stated this from the UN podium. He emphasized that this war concerns everyone, and the world cannot stand aside.
Stopping this war now, and with it the global arms race, is cheaper than building underground kindergartens or huge bunkers for critical infrastructure. It is cheaper to stop Putin now than to try to protect every port and every ship from terrorists using naval drones. We must act together to stop the aggressor. And then we will have a real chance that this arms race won't end in disaster for everyone. That means it is necessary. If pressure needs to be put on Russia, then it must be done. And it must be done right now. Otherwise, Putin will continue the war and expand it further.
By the way, even in the United Nations, Russia is there illegally. It simply declared itself the successor of the USSR and took the vacant seat. Although from a legal standpoint, this is incorrect. Just like the fact that an aggressor country can stand at the highest podium and lie to the whole world, trying to present itself as the victim. That's exactly what the head of the Russian Foreign Ministry, Lavrov, did once again. He once again talked about the West hybrid war, about undermining multipolarity, and claimed that, apparently, it was the Russian Federation that had war declared on it, by everyone at once. If in the past this spectacle at least got some reaction, now it only irritates the member states more and more. This hasn't been diplomacy for a long time. It's just a cynical set of cliches, where black is simply called white, and vice versa. At this UN General Assembly, Ukraine received significant support, both from a large part of the Global South and, of course, from its closest partners.
Ukraine has repeatedly stated that it is ready for a ceasefire and is open to negotiations. Now Russia must prove that it can choose peace. Despite the fact that it continues to attack peaceful residents of Ukraine and provoke, at the same time, France will firmly stand with Ukraine, together with its European partners and all those who understand the importance of defeating Russia to preserve the world order.
On the sidelines of the 80th session of the UN General Assembly, two other very important events took place. The International Coalition for the Return of Ukrainian Children and the Crimea Platform Summit. 1,625 young Ukrainians have been returned from Russia during the full-scale war. Behind each name are months of searching, negotiations, and risks. And in this matter, it is also necessary to increase pressure on Russia so that all the children, almost 20,000 of them, can return home. By the way, the world's weak response to the occupation of Crimea in 2014 led to the aggressor feeling untouchable. This was discussed at the 5th Crimea Platform Summit. Special attention at the event was given to the repressions carried out by Russian security forces on the territory of the temporarily occupied peninsula.
The process of displacing the indigenous population continues, and if Crimea is not liberated, in the foreseeable future we may witness the complete disappearance of the Crimean Tatar people as a distinct ethnic group. If for Ukraine as a whole, the liberation of Crimea is, first and foremost, a matter of restoring its territorial integrity and ensuring its security, then for the indigenous people of Crimea, it is also a matter of survival and further development, or complete disappearance as a unique people.
This week in New York reflected a world where challenges are multiplying faster than the answers to them. It showed that international conflicts can no longer be viewed in isolation from one another. UN reform has turned from an abstract idea into a demand voiced by more and more countries. And the main slogan of the Anniversary Assembly, 80 years together for the sake of peace and human rights, has already been reinterpreted by many. 80 years together, we will also change together. Otherwise, the risks will outweigh the opportunities.
Subscribe to The Gaze and stay updated on the most important events, top news from Ukraine and all over the world, in-depth analysis, exclusive reports and interviews, all on hand in our channel. Join our community of viewers and stay tuned.